because I just want to quickly get it up without having to edit it. And I would love to chat live with y'all about this, but with all my Aquarius and Pisces placements, I find I have trouble really staying on task with what I need to say, because I kind of get lost in what others are with a live chat and all that, and I enjoy that, and we will do that, okay? But for this video, I want to make sure that I get out what I'm really feeling led to get out uninterrupted. And of course, I would love to hear your comments down below. These are energies, you know, Saturn and Aquarius, full moon in Aquarius that we're having on the 11th of August. These are energies that collectively we're all experiencing. And of course, when we're talking about Aquarius, we are talking about the collective. But me with an Aquarius stellium, you know, I definitely want to give my perspective on this, and I want to speak to those of you who are also fellow Aquarians, and those of you who maybe have prominent Aquarius placements, sun, moon, rising, right? Or you know somebody who has that. It helps to understand Aquarians better, and we're having to understand ourselves better given these transits. As I mentioned before, I have been going through Saturn and Aquarius sitting right on top. I'm talking 23 degrees right on top of my natal sun at 23 degrees, okay? And that went on for basically the last 2 weeks. I just got out of it yesterday. It's now at 22 degrees today as I'm filming. And it's going retrograde, right? Saturn is now retrograde in Aquarius, and it will be for the next 3 months. So, yeah, June 4th through October 22nd. So it's going like this backwards, and then when it comes out of retrograde in October, it's gonna eventually hit back on my 23 degree natal sun. I have not even looked at when exactly the dates are for when that's going to occur, whatever. I'm just trying to, you know, get through this. The squeeze has been on me, okay? As some of you know, I also have my Mercury in Aquarius, my midheaven is in Aquarius, but definitely Saturn in Aquarius right on top of my natal sun at the exact degree for the last 2 weeks. It's been, oh my God, I could tell you some stories. And I might at the end, I might do some personal sharing, because I know for some of you that helps. Others of you, y'all are, you know, y'all just want to know how it affects you, and you're going to bump on out of here. But the moment people start, you know, no offense, it's content creator problems. The moment you start talking about yourself, you know, and I'm definitely feeling that right now, with Saturn on Aquarius. It's like, oh, it's not about you. People don't want to hear about it. People don't want to be about it. They want to know about themselves. So I'm going to say, even if you are not an Aquarian, or you don't have a prominent Aquarius placement, or you nobody in your life does, you may want to listen anyway, because in some respect it may give you some insight on what it is like to go through Saturn in your sign, particularly when it gets right on your the exact degree of your natal sun, okay? And I want to say, some of you, the earlier degree Aquarians, you know, you've already been through this. You know, those of you who are like first decan Capricorn leaning, and perhaps maybe you dealt with it better because Capricorn is very Saturnian, right? More Saturnian leaning. So some of you maybe do better with the challenges, the restrictions, or you tend to see things as a challenge more than like somebody like me who's third decan Aquarian, very Pisces leaning. Don't let my Taurus rising fool you. I don't like that. I do like things very stable, right? Double fixed, but I don't see the limitations and the restrictions as a challenge. Like, no, that's not my preset. But if it's yours, then more power to you. And maybe you have not been feeling the Saturn and Aquarius on your sun quite like I have. Okay. Um, and of course, you have to look at other things going on in your natal chart, right? Other things that are happening in that natal chart will will impact how this is being affected by you. But um, we are also collectively dealing with this full moon in Aquarius on the 11th, and God willing, I will go live. By the way, I put out a video for the last, the new moon in Leo, our opposite sign, right? I hope y'all enjoyed that. It was really long, pretty thorough, much longer than I had initially intended. But when I was in it, I just felt like, just, hey, I'm here, let me be fully present. And that's what I did. So I hope y'all appreciate it. But yeah, again, it's kind of going back to this sun in our opposite sign of Leo, having a lot to do with the ego, versus Aquarius. The opposite is about the altruism, and we are going to definitely have that contrast, that dichotomy around the 11th with this lunar activity. And yeah, hopefully I'll be going live during that time if I can't, because I'm still feeling the squeeze in my life that I have been feeling. I'll do something pre-recorded and I'll speak to this more, but let me just say briefly that, based on what I'm hearing in the astrological community, this is going to bring some kind of ending or culmination, hopefully a positive one if you've had some ideals, some hopes, some wishes, some aspirations. Of course, look at where is Aquarius in your natal chart. For me, it's 10th house, so hopefully, this is about some struggles ending, some difficulties ending, but I do see that because of other things going on with, this is going to be conjunct Saturn, and it's going to be squaring Uranus. Overall, collectively, we are dealing with, well, some quotes come to mind, okay, with this energy. The first one is, with freedom comes responsibility, and freedom isn't free. So I think that collectively we're all looking at breaking free from some kind of, challenging limitation, restriction, maybe karma, maybe responsibilities, maybe burdens, okay? But the way we have to do it is in a very responsible, calculating way. It's not this kind of rambunctious, off the cuff type of irresponsible, I'm just going to do what I want to do type of way. There's going to have to be a lot of consideration of all things considered. And, I have heard some people say it's going to be very serious energy around that time. And pretty sober energy as well when we're talking about Saturn. It brings in a sobriety of, well, this is what is going to have to be done. I mean, this is what it is. This is reality. Like, by the way, as I get deeper into this message, I need to warn some of you, especially if you're not familiar with me or my content, I'm not a cupcakes and rainbows person. I think that false optimism is more damaging than pessimism, okay? And you're definitely going to hear it from me as an Aquarian, Sun and Mercury. I'm just going to drive the stake right into the heart of the matter. No apologies, might be offensive. Yes, my Pisces stellium will try to smooth it out, okay? And I will be compassionate, but I ain't going to lie, honey. I'm Queen of Swords at the end of the day. And I know that there are some Aquarians out there that, right, we get a bad rap for being fake or whatever. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. And definitely at a time like this Aquarian here, it's gotten extremely, extremely sober for me about this works, this doesn't work. And this is a part of the video where I am going to get into a little bit more personal sharing for y'all, okay? So if you're not about that, if you just want to hear about yourself, y'all can click off now. Yeah, I just said that. I really did. But okay, my personal sharing actually has a personal application to you, okay? And that is, you know, how this has been experienced for me these last 2 weeks, and really even leading up to it, of Saturn getting right on top of my natal sun, 23 degrees. Started July 15th, ended the 29th. I have intuitively sensed that I needed to do some shedding, some letting go, some pulling back, some paring down, okay? And I do feel like when Saturn is in your sign, and particularly right on top of your natal sun, you're either going to do it or it's going to be done for you, okay? And so for me, you know, I'd say, gosh, I have been working on this over pretty much this entire year, and Saturn went into Aquarius last December. So pretty much this entire year I've been looking at what's viable, what's sustainable, what endures, right? And Saturn has, with it being in my 10th house, it's just been poking a hole in anything that doesn't carry any solid weight, which, come to find out, is a lot of stuff, sadly. There's no room for idealism here, and that's rough because Aquarius is very 11th house-ish. 11th house being a lot about ideals, wishes, soulmates, ambitions. But when you have Saturn in that energy, it's like, well, so you want this, but look at where you're at, and how do you realistically get over there? And I mean, is that going to get you there or not? No, it's not. And then you start looking at realistically what's required, and those are some sober pills to swallow. So there's been a lot of sobriety this year, and having to make tough choices about, if I want something bad enough, it's just not going to happen. You know, this is like really, like, for example, many of you know I have been trying to move back to Austin for like 4 years now. And that's a long ass story. But this particular year, let me just say that I think that I had been waiting every year for my ability to just kind of level up, and I was hoping that, you know, things would kind of like, doors would open for me and just be like, oh, look, you're getting a promotion, you're getting a raise, things are growing, things are thriving. But when Saturn is in your natal sign, in your 10th house, having to do with career, no, Saturn's just like saying, oh, well, so now this is not going to work with your career, and that over there is not going to work with your career. Yeah, well, you could do this, but not in this location, and you could do that, but not with that person, and, well, that person you could do it with, but it's always right, something. By the way, I've got another 2 years of this, so pray for me. I just, every time I think that I've come up with some other strategy. I'm shown the weakness of that one as well. It's I'm definitely being taken to task. And by the way, side note, currently right now I'm dealing with Mars in my 12th house. Up until mid-August. I've got another 2 weeks of that. So basically blocked assertion. And it's like things, I can't even put my finger on it, you know? So essentially, it's like the universe is saying, time out. It's like, you know, it's like the coach is telling you, go sit on the bench, and you're watching the game. And I don't mean to sound like boohoo pity party, because we all go through Saturn, you know, moves through everybody's 12th house, okay? Saturn generally, not Saturn, Mars. Mars is generally a 1.5 month transit, okay? So one of the faster moving planets go through these signs and houses and all of that. So I guess my point is that a lot of blockage, okay? Blocked assertion when we're talking about Mars in the 12th house. A lot of challenges, limitations, restrictions when we're talking about Saturn on your natal sun, exact the degree, okay? Particularly in the 10th house. So as many of you know with my channel, I have been like, again, you've even seen a scaling back going on with my channel. Like I haven't been putting out political tarot. I want to maintain my promises of going live every full and new moon, but it has just seemed like there's always something interfering. So I try to like work around it and make it happen, but right. And I'm gonna just also, again, not to get into a pity party, but for you to those of you who are students of astrology, as am I'm a lifetime student of astrology, to understand what this looks like. You know, when we're talking about Saturn in the 10th house on your sun. And I talk about the holes getting poked. You know, many of you know I've done most of my, I'd say definitely prior to Saturn going into Aquarius, the 3 years prior was like pretty much all online work. And then mid last year, I started doing offline because of my nodal inverse. I felt like that's what I was being led to do, and I had limited success with that. Put a lot of investment into that, and then this year realized I could make a lot more money with the offline work at a different location. So I bit the bullet and I came out here, and I have to almost like fight myself out here, okay? Like what I've had to do to come out here. Like I know the opportunities out here, but it's not coming to me. It's not gonna make it easy, but like I had to, I had to make my way to come out here. And I'm still making my way. I'll probably tell you more about that in a bit, but just to finish my point, you know, like I got out here, there's a lot more business work opportunities out here. But then I'm starting like over the last 2 weeks that I've been dealing with Saturn exact my natal sun. I oddly have started hearing from some people at events where they're like, oh yeah, cool, you do tarot, but yeah, we're fully booked, so I mean you can get on our waiting list and maybe we'll talk to you in the next, I don't know, 3 months. We'll get back to you when we have an availability open up. Or they'll say, oh, you do tarot, cool, but we only do one reader per event and we rotate them. And so you might only be able to, you know, be at this event once a month at best. Like they might have the event every weekend, but if you were on rotation, you would only get one weekend, maybe a month. And you're like, okay, well, put me on for once a month. But they don't hear back from them. So, I don't want to go on down the list with the violin, right? But I looked at my astrology and I'm like, okay, Saturn is exact my sun, Mars in the 12th house. I'm going to take a time out. I'm going to work on my home, family, housing. That's another thing I'm going to share with y'all. I'm going to do some behind the scenes work. You know, I was brainstorming with my daughter, and she's like, you know what you need to do? Some of these events where they won't take you in because your tarot reading, you know, maybe offer spiritual products. And so we're looking at expanding and selling products that, you know, and then maybe just as a side note, give my business card out for people who want private readings, just not there, because those events are not letting me set up for that. Okay. So, where was I at? So I'm brainstorming, and that's what you got to do, I think, with this, even, you know, whether we're talking about the Saturn placement in your sign, or regardless of your sign, you've got Mars going through your 12th house. This is like behind the scenes work, behind the scenes effort, reworking, regrouping. We're coming into a lot of retrogrades collectively where a lot of people are having to kind of reevaluate stuff anyway. A lot of layers of, okay, is there another angle I can come at this to make this work or more workable? Especially if you feel like you're being put in time out, you know, you're going to have to look at it from another perspective, things from a different direction, come at it from another angle, and that's something that I'm doing right now. Or you just like put it on the back burner, you give it a rest, which is what I've been doing, trying to just work on housing and, you know, speaking to that on a personal note, that's been a bit of a wild ride because my family and I, we have been working on a house, and I do want to share it with y'all at some point. Some before and after pictures. I don't want to show it to y'all right now because it's in rough condition, and it has been. We have been working on it for, I guess, 2 to 3 weeks now. Going in there, decluttering, cleaning. Last time we were over there, we were painting. We're going to do another painting party, invite some friends over to a painting party. And then we're going to lay flooring down in there. I was hoping to get moved by August 1st. Get my belongings in, and then I'm going to get my younger daughter in Wichita, which is 5 hours away, bring her back, and move her in at the end of August. But now it's looking like, if I'm lucky, I'll get myself moved in mid-August, because we've had more, you know, loveliness, which I will blame on Saturn, on my natal sun, and Mars in the 12th. But weird stuff. Let me say, I'm hearing a lot of astrologers talking about how with all this increasing Aquarian, Uranian energy that we're seeing currently and well into the end of the year, and eclipses and whatnot, all things considered, I'm hearing people saying that having the ability to cooperate, work collectively, work collaboratively is going to be very, very key. And this is exactly what's playing out in my life. You know, in years past, I think that I had this philosophy, much like many people have, which is, okay, you know, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. Problem is, some people never get around to scratching the other person's back. I mean, you know, or they go like, what? You want me to scratch your back? I mean, well, that wasn't the agreement. Well, I don't want to give that, you know? And then you get into these relationships that are non-reciprocal, and people end up feeling like they've been exploited and whatever. So, I feel that the dynamic is shifting. Again, going back to Saturn and Aquarius, okay, it seems like I've been having so many blockages on getting housing for one reason or another, really for a good solid, I'd say since 2017, okay? And as many of you know, I've been house sharing, and some people thought I lived pretty nice in a very large, bougie, historical home. It was house sharing, people. I lived communally, okay? That's what I was doing to afford that. I know it looked nice, but that's the whole truth of the matter, okay? As a single mom, that's how I afforded to live at that nice residence, okay? Now, currently, I'm getting my own place with my youngest daughter, and the way that I am affording to do that, given all this 10th house, a malefic, let's be honest, a malefic sitting in my 10th house, okay? Yeah, let's not sugarcoat this. This is a reality. There is a malefic sitting in my 10th house and has been since late last year. It ain't leaving until March of 2024, okay? How do you deal with a malefic there? On your career, your vocation, your life purpose, destiny, your status, okay? How do you do that? Well, the way it's coming together is, we've got several families pulling together. So the house that we're getting, it belonged to an elderly man who unfortunately got horribly, horribly sick, to the point that he's had to be hospitalized and moved into nursing home care. He does not have family, other than a brother and I think a mother who's very, very elderly, and a friend who we know, okay? We know the friend. And so basically, they need somebody, another family, to come in, and that's where we come in, to help clear the property and restore the property, make it renter ready, and help provide some kind of income through paying rent and labor, to improve this man's financial condition so that he can pay for his monthly nursing home care, okay? So there's like probably been roughly 10 to 12 people who have been over there actively involved working on that property to declutter it, to clean it, to restore it. It's roughly 3 families involved and friends coming together. And so I'm painting this picture so you can see how values are shifting, how people are adding value to the lives of one another collectively, collaboratively, Saturn and Aquarius, and how it's translating in my life. Even though I feel like Saturn's putting a squeeze on me in my 10th house, this is how we get a diamond out of this rough, okay? And arguably, it's a little bitty diamond. But it's also, because it's not a big property, in terms of, the housing that we're moving into. It's not ideal, but it is going to give us some leverage so that I'm able to come in and seize the opportunities here in Austin, the abundance of business opportunities out here, while not having this outrageous cost of living that comes with a lot of people who work out here and live out here. So that's the positive. We'll get some leverage, and God willing, I'm hoping that next year my daughter and I will be much better situated, if the housing market collapses, which there are rumors that it's well on its way. It's already happening in China, by the way, and then there's a domino effect there. I don't want to get off on a tangent about that. But this has been predicted since 2020. I've been listening to real estate experts saying it's coming. 2023 to 2024, we're going to be in a full-on housing bubble bursting, much like 2008. So this is the time to hunker down, increase your income if you can. Saturn is definitely taking me to task to do that, sitting there in the 10th house, showing me every little weakness, every hole in my plan, and just popping any little bubble or false hope that I have. Like, I'm getting strengthened here, okay? I'm getting better positioned here. But also keeping those commitments at a minimum, not overextending myself, not overestimating myself. Oh, Saturn will not let you overestimate yourself at all. I heard one astrologer also talk about this transit, where people you can't really be about yourself if you want to get forward movement. And I'm like, oh, you don't even need to tell me. I think the Aquarians right now, you don't need to tell an Aquarian. Number one, we're the most other focused sign. Number two, Saturn in our sign is making us abundantly clear about that. Number three, if you are a sun or rising in Aquarius and you have a Chiron in Aries, as do I, because you're like a 70s baby, no. And I for damn sure don't think it's about me. I can't, because I've got a south node in the first house. A first house in the south node, I should say. So it's not happening. But I am getting this new realization of, really, we're moving, I think, into a time period of, if you want to personally get some movement with your goals, your agenda, you are going to have to really align yourself, kind of in the way I explained to you earlier. You will have to find somebody who is in agreement, like, yes, you can come live at this house for a reduced rate, because that's going to help us do X, Y, Z. A lot of people, by the way, are having trouble with this. I tried to work out an arrangement like this out in Wichita earlier this year. It fell through. It worked for 2 hot weeks, okay? But then when it came time to put it all in paper, the deal just unraveled. And I think this is because a lot of people still don't know how to do this very well. We're learning collectively. We are learning how to collaborate, cooperate with one another in a reciprocal way. It's not gonna be the I'm gonna scratch your back so you scratch my back. It's not. It's in a, we're scratching each other's back simultaneously, because we're on the same page, we're on the same objective, we have the same goal in mind. We're working towards the same outcome. What benefits you also so happens to benefit me. That's a rare find and combination. And even when you find that combination, we're still dealing with so many people who are afraid of getting exploited, because I think prior to Saturn and Aquarius, dealing with especially Saturn and Capricorn, you have a lot of people trying to, there was zero-sum games, leveraging resources against others, exploitation, things like that. I'm sorry to say, power dynamics, rules being and authorities, abusing authority. It's like abuse or misuse of authority, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And so many people are so on guard about these type of dynamics, because many of us have just dealt with it our entire lives, right? But humanity is going to have to change how it relates to one another in this respect. You know, as I said before, I tried to work a similar deal earlier this year and it fell through. And I think it's because security issues were triggered between myself and the other person. And it's kind of coming up again, you know. Like we're doing a timeout right now because we went to go sign papers, and then it was almost like a repeat of before. It was kind of giving me PTSD from the last thing, where, you know, people like to start off over promising, and then when you get to sign the paperwork, it's that they want to change. They want to give you less than the initial agreement while expecting in return more than the initial agreement. And I don't know why people do this. It's this, I guess, habit that people tend to have of over promising and under delivering, when I think the goal should be under promising, over delivering. But or just let your yay be yay and your nay be nay, right? That's biblical. But anyway, I guess the point I'm trying to make is we got to work through these insecurities as a collective, because I think definitely as you see more families feeling the squeeze of the economy, of the shortages, you know, protests all over the world, this is impacting people. They're having to depend, I should say, less on the government and more on community, family. But in order to do that, you've got to get to a place where people are having reciprocal relationships. They are making sure everybody gets what they want, need, or at least need out of the arrangement, and that there's not this exploitation. And so not easy, and I'm definitely feeling challenged by it right now. I do feel like we're going to work through it. I'm filming this right now as we're in the midst of the triple conjunction, by the way. And this is another reason why I'm just like, lay low, work, you know, do the behind the scenes work on my business, get a strategy, work on home and family, go back to the drawing board with negotiations after the 3rd. I think astrologically the 3rd onward is going to be a lot more positive. And for the Aquarians, I'm just going back again with the full moon in Aquarius on the 11th. Hopefully this is going to bring about a release of any kind of stuckness or restriction, definitely because of how Uranus and Saturn are playing into that full moon. Letting go of whatever you feel has made you feel stuck, finding a way to break free responsibly, to get free of all of this. And so yeah, if I sound like a little bit Debbie Downer, and I have complained a bit here a lot in this video, I do remain hopeful. I feel like it's a this too shall pass, and I do want to share with you very quickly some advice, if I can find it. Some basic advice on, you know, how to make it through these, like if you're going through a transit like this, or you related to what I had to say. I feel like, you can't find it for some reason. I feel like what you have to do, I'm just going to go off of my memory then, is you're going to have to remember these are energies. And I try to tell myself, this is what I love about the astrology, is if I look at the dates, then I can just keep telling myself, you know, stuff, this is just an energy, this too shall pass. And if I really understand the astrology, I can look at the higher purpose and plan, like, right, I mean, I can boohoo about Mars in the 12th, but then the positive use of that as well, I just work behind the scenes, you know. And again, I could definitely boohoo about Saturn in my 10th house, sitting right on top of my sun. I'm absolutely feeling the pushback, the challenges coming all over, all right? But the positive is, as I mentioned before, I'm seeing the weaknesses in my business, and frankly, to be a good business owner, you need to level with yourself. You need to be honest with yourself about what could possibly go wrong, and you need to strengthen those weaknesses in order to have a sustainable business. So that is the positive. And get around people also. This is another piece of advice. Get around people who, because of maybe what they're going through astrologically, in some way it helps support or strengthen a weakness that you're going through right now, right? Like my daughter, she's a Pisces sun, and for the first half of this year, Jupiter was in Pisces, very benefic, very expansive. Now Jupiter is in Aries, and she's got some prominent Aries placements as well, and so she's just been doing great. And so it's good because I've been able to, she's kind of fast tracked me with some career connections. She is blessing me, in I do have my Jupiter in 11th house as well. So I'm networking, I'm making connections. Look at where Jupiter is in your natal chart. Seize that benefic energy, okay? Look at the house opposite of where Saturn is transiting. For me, it's 4th house. Go try to strengthen and work on that. If you just feel like you're getting squeezed the hell out of 10th, right? Backed into a corner, painted into a corner, which is how I felt over the last 2 weeks. Just like, okay, I'm gonna go work on my 4th house. Or, when I do go back out and do business stuff, I'll be like, okay, well, I'm here networking. Jupiter's in my 11th house. I'm gonna be here making friends, making connections, Yeah, it might not really seem to make a huge difference in my 10th house while Saturn is there. But hey, maybe later, this is maybe a connection that's going to be very faded, right? Very faded. So this is my advice on, dealing with these challenging transits. Look at where you are getting support, where, maybe you can get some relief, opposite of where Saturn is. Look at maybe surrounding yourself with people who can strengthen the weaknesses that you are dealing with, and know that this too shall pass. Okay, thanks for listening to me talk about myself. And hopefully y'all got something really good out of it. And I will talk to you soon again. I hope very soon, sooner than later, right? Y'all take care. Y'all be blessed.